is WhisperSister. I hope you all had a great Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrated, and I guess everyone's getting ready for New Year's. I hope everybody has a great New Year's as well. I am doing something I haven't done in a while. I'm recording this video on my lunch break in my car, and I've actually tried now like 3 times, but there are a lot of people here because it's actually a pretty nice day out. I mean, it's cold, but it's sunny, and I think everyone's wanting to get a little bit of sunshine, so there's like families with screaming children and dogs barking and cars driving around, so there's been a lot of background noise, and I am probably going to be late getting back to work from my lunch break, so I wanted to try and just do this, and I'm gonna have to just leave whatever background noise there is in the video, so hopefully it's not too jarring or distracting for anyone. But the reason I'm doing this today is I wanted to read from this book. I've mentioned a couple times in previous videos a book called The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie, and it's like a collection of meditations and affirmations on just like relationship issues and all kinds of things really, but it's designed to be read every day. There's like just a little thing on... Is that a helicopter? Are you serious? Oh, it's a plane. I hope that's not too loud. I'm trying to remind myself that the world does not revolve around me, but like, you just try and make a 10-minute video and you'd be amazed at how noisy the world is, even in a small little parking lot like this. Is driving me nuts. Okay. Anyway, alright, so that book I've mentioned a few times. I just picked up the sequel, which is just called More Language of Letting Go, and it's basically the same idea. It's got little things to read every morning or every day, and little affirmations or meditations on all kinds of things. So today, the reading that I did this morning really struck a chord with me, and so I wanted to read it and just talk about it a little bit. This is the kind of stuff that I used to make This is the kind of stuff that I used to make whisper videos about, and I miss making those kinds of videos a little bit. And I do know from a couple conversations that I've had recently that there's probably at least a couple people out there who may listen to this who might get something from it as well. So anyways, without further ado, December 28th, it's called Risk Being Alive. I know nothing is going to last forever, Charlie said, but the key to life and being happy is acting as though it is. Many of us have had our illusions about security and permanency shattered. The longer we're alive, the more it gets beat into us. Nothing is forever. We can plan on many things, but the only thing we can plan on with any certainty is change. At some time in our lives, we may have convinced ourselves otherwise. We surrendered ourselves to that job, that project, or that relationship with all our hearts, only to have it crash to an end. Some of us may have decided, after enough cycles of beginnings, middles, and endings, that the way to deal with this was never to fully give our hearts to any person or circumstance, never to let ourselves fully be present and enjoy the moment. If I don't get in completely, I won't get hurt when it ends, we think. Maybe, but you won't experience the pleasure and joy, the rich, sweet, full taste of those moments either. Okay, so you're wiser now. You know nothing lasts forever. You know the moment something begins, the ending has already been written too. are born, they die. A job or project begins, then it ends. But there's an entire luscious middle waiting, inviting you to jump in fully and see how sweet life can be. Besides, when the ending does come, you'll also have been given enough wisdom, courage, and grace to deal with that too. What are you waiting for? Go ahead, stop holding back, jump in, live your life. So, yeah, that really kind of stuck with me when I read that, because that is something that I've definitely struggled with and continue to struggle with, I guess. I tend to see things ending as a failure, whether it's a relationship or a job, I guess. But for me, I tend to fixate on relationships, so I'll use that as an example. And I guess, lately I've found myself feeling really guarded against the idea of opening myself up to someone, or getting into a relationship, or even just, being open to people in general, because of some of the things that have happened for me over the last year. And it's that exact thing. It's like, seeing how things can seem so full of promise and be so exciting and powerful, and just feel so authentic, and then to watch them either just fizzle out or go horribly wrong or whatever. I definitely have fallen into that trap of thinking that the only way to guard against that kind of disappointment and pain is to close off. And, I know I've done it in the past. I can feel myself doing it a little bit now. Not as much, but still, there's definitely a wall up. And I don't like that, because I remember the feeling of being, open and just looking for the good in people and experiencing people for all the amazing things that they are, feeling connected to people, not necessarily in a romantic way, but that's definitely, obviously, a pretty powerful form of connection. But just in general, the last little while I've been feeling really just a general sense of just not being safe, it not being safe to open up to people. A little bit of paranoia, I guess, thinking that everyone's, thinking badly of me, which is just something that I've done for as long as I can remember anyway, but that's a separate issue. But, yeah, it's like I'm definitely, as time goes by, I am having to learn over and over that, yeah, nothing is forever, things are always going to end, or at least change, and that is a very scary thing for me, I guess, and it really threatens my sense of control, which I am also learning more and more is a complete illusion. Anyway, so it's probably good that it gets threatened, because it's not even based in reality anyway. And some of the most amazing things that have happened in my life have come in moments when I was completely, I had no control, and I let go surprise me in really great ways, and I have that in the back of my mind as I try to build up this defense against, the not so great surprises, the ones that come along and change things in very painful ways. I guess you can't have one without the other, and it's been driving me nuts the last few months because, as you've heard me mention, I was on medication for the last 5 years or so, antidepressants, Prozac mostly, and by the end of it I was completely numb emotionally and creatively and spiritually, just absolutely checked out and miserable. And last year around this time is when I went off the medication, and the first couple months after going off, the world was like a completely new place. Everything was new and exhilarating, and it was amazing. And I threw myself into it because it felt so good after having been emotionally dead, basically, asleep for a long time. And you can hear it now. I really do kind of like the fact that I have all these videos online, because you can kind of witness the whole thing if you go back and listen. Not that I'm expecting anyone to go back and listen to all my videos, but those of you who have been around since the beginning have sort of been, been able to witness this whole thing going on. And I just remember how amazing it felt to start to feel again, start to feel emotion, and to catch a glimpse of just our interconnectedness, and feel a sense of just to connect with people. It was great, and unfortunately, a few things didn't go my way, and I got very hurt as well. Hurt myself, and I just got disappointed, and it's not funny. I'm not really laughing per se, but I guess I'm sort of laughing because I'm removed from it now. It's not as real. It's not as immediate as it was when I was going through it. But it was horrible to go through it, because I was completely immersed in it, and going through that, it's definitely caused me to be cautious again with people, and it's been really stressing me out, because I do not want to go back to being scared and closed off and emotionally numb. I mean, I know it doesn't feel the same as being on medication, but it's similar, when you're just so timid and fragile, I guess, that you close yourself off in defense. And I mean, for one thing, it doesn't really guard against pain. Pain will still get in. And for another, like this, reading said, it's like you deprive yourself all of the good things that are possible. And I guess I felt like I know that stuff is all still there. Like, I know how much love there is in the world. Like, even just small little things, little gestures of kindness and compassion and connecting with friends and strangers. I know what it's like to look at the world as a loving place, and to see people as inherently good, and I really, really want that to be my reality, for the majority of the time, because I think that is the truth. I really do. I think that is the truth, and any sense of separation that we feel is again another form of defense and self-preservation, and the only way, I guess, I'm starting to realize that the only way to really fully experience all the wonderful things about being a human being is to stop with the self-preservation and allow yourself, your individual ego, or whatever you want to call it, your personality, to be vulnerable, to be open, and that scares me, but it also kind of thrills me, and when I just know I know it's true. I just know it's the truth. So, sorry, I'm just shivering, partly because it's freezing, and partly because I'm just feeling anxious, I guess. Because I really don't want to feel pain, obviously. I mean, who wants to feel pain? But the last little while, as I've been isolating myself and putting these walls up and trying to, how do I explain? Like, trying to anticipate the results of my actions before I take any step, or potential misstep or anything, like just being so anxious and worried and cautious, overly cautious. In the back of my mind, I know that all of that is at the cost of real, authentic experience, and that is not something that I'm okay with. So, I think I have seen the flaws in my logic, and that makes me nervous, because there's a big part of me. Well, you know what? No, it's not that big of a part, but it's convincing and clever, and it wants to tell me that uncertainty and the unknown equals danger and pain and heartbreak, and it wants to brainstorm all of the things that could potentially go wrong in my life, and all of the horrible, terrible things that I'm going to have to endure. That part of me is always there, and sometimes it's more forceful than others. But the thing that I've come to realize is that that part of me that I would call my fear is also just another form of, love, really. It's the part of me that's looking out for myself and gives a shit about my well-being and cares enough to try and protect me from potential danger. And I guess the task is to try and make that part feel safe, say thank you very much for trying to... Jesus. Sorry, okay, I gotta go, I guess. There's like all kinds of background noise, but yeah, basically to realize that, those fears are not, they're not necessarily gonna come true, and they're definitely not reason enough to not live our lives, because I'm just realizing more and more how short life is, and what a blessing it is to even be here, even to be able to experience life and perceive things the way we do, and, you know, to use my mind. Like, I've been, well, just quickly, the friend that I'm living with, her grandfather has had a couple strokes, and he suffers from Alzheimer's, and, you know, I'm kind of watching her mom deal with her dad, like, her father's deterioration, mental deterioration, and, like, that is something that scares the crap out of me, you know, losing my ability to think and use my mind, and it's a very real possibility that I may have to deal with that someday, but rather than let that scare me into, you know, just a feeling of dread, it just makes me appreciate so much that I have I have full use of my faculties now, and this mind of mine that I condemn and criticize so much is actually such a gift. You know, we all have gifts, and I mean, I'm not trying to preach to anyone by any means, because I know that there are so many instances where I am not in touch with this kind of thinking at all, and I can only see what's wrong with my life and myself and all of that, and I know that that will come again, you know, probably pretty soon, but for this one moment, I'm just like, just really hoping for the strength to keep pursuing this as my reality, because anything else is just such a waste of time, a waste of this life that I have, and that's really starting to sink in for me these days. So, God, this was just like a really scattered kind of ramble, but it was something that I wanted to get out, I guess. I'd be very happy to hear anybody's feedback or thoughts, or I guess advice, or, you know, tips, or anything. You know, if you have any tricks on how to stay in touch with this kind of awareness more often, I could definitely use some advice, because I'm really quite scared on some levels of whatever is coming, but what I'm more scared of is closing off again, and it's such a cold way to live. It's such a lonely way to be scared all the time, and always on the defensive. It's just, yeah, I don't want to do that, and I've definitely felt myself doing it, you know, and like clinging on to things that are familiar, and just not wanting to let things go, and also not wanting to take on anything new and uncontrollable. might be going and contemplating this this reading has sort of opened my eyes a little bit to the fact that I think one of the things I'm going to need to do is try and reframe the way I look at things changing and ending, and just realize that that's a given. It's part of life, you know. It's only really seen as a failure when you are operating on the assumption that things are supposed to last forever, which is ridiculous, really. So I guess when things change and end, you know, I can just tell myself that that's what's supposed to happen. Of course, it doesn't really help all that much, but it's definitely something to work on, I suppose. Anyways, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for sticking through my flustered babbling. I really miss making these videos. There are all kinds of reasons why I haven't been making a lot of videos, and there are all kinds of reasons why I have felt the need to keep things to myself a little bit more than I did in the past, but I'd forgotten how much these videos can do to just get stuff out and just take a bit of a load off of my mind. But anyways, I hope this was at least somewhat relaxing, and again, I just hope everybody has a great New Year's, and you know, everyone be safe